We're going to take you inside the Pulse nightclub in Orlando during last week's sickening massacre and the subsequent police standoff. You will hear from the officers who were on the scene risking their own lives, and you will hear from the killer himself, Omar Mateen, in newly released transcripts of his phone calls with hostage negotiators. Here's ABC's Lindsay Janis.
I never thought that her life would be ended right in front of my eyes.
The tears of a son saved by his mother. In the Orlando nightclub massacre. Tonight, Brenda Lee Marquez McCool laid to rest. The Brooklyn native and two-time cancer survivor heroically died jumping in front of her son, Isaiah Henderson, who survived the shooting.
She loved everybody equally.
McCool was one of 49 killed. And now, harrowing minute-by-minute accounts from police.
It was just a shots fired call.
Let's go.
It wasn't until a lot closer that I was aware that it was an active shooter call.
A clearer picture of that dramatic 3-hour standoff with gunman Omar Mateen. Authorities releasing partial transcripts of their communications with him.
While we're not releasing the audio, what I can tell you is that while the killer made these murderous statements, he did so in a chilling, calm, and deliberate manner.
At 2:02 a.m., the gunman begins his roughly 30-minute rampage, exchanging fire with police twice before barricading himself in a bathroom, taking hostages. At 2:35 a.m., the shooter called 911, pledging allegiance to ISIS, telling the dispatcher, "I'm in Orlando and I did the shootings." At 2:48 a.m., police bring in hostage negotiators. They speak with the shooter 3 times on the phone.
Anytime we can engage a suspect who's in a hostage situation, we definitely want to keep them talking.
In the calls, Mateen tells police he has bombs in a car, threatening to detonate them, saying, "I'm gonna ignite it if they try to do anything stupid." He continues to say he has a vest like the kind they used in France. Then silence. He stops answering his phone.
We know he's in the bathroom, we know he's armed, and we know he has some people in there with him.
Our officers were intermittently in and out of that club, saving people.
We're being told possibly up to 15 remaining in the club that are barricaded in.
Our officers were able to push an air conditioning through to one of the dressing rooms, and I believe saved 8 people.
Officer Omar Delgado was one of the first on the scene, running towards the gunfire.
At that point, there was a lot of people running out, yelling, screaming, crying. It was unreal. It was just a lot of bodies laying on the ground.
Lying, how many?
Anywhere from 20, 25 or so. I began yelling, "Hey, get up, get up." It took a minute to realize that those people weren't getting up. There was a reason why those people weren't getting up, and it was because they were shot.
Delgado was able to pull out a few who were still alive.
And so how many people do you think you pulled out?
I want to say maybe about three or four, with the assistance of other officers that were there.
Nearly 2 hours after the gunman cut off communication, police ready to go in and rescue the hostages. At 5:02 a.m., busting through an exterior wall of the club, Patience Carter was inside the bathroom.
The police said, move away from the walls, because obviously they were about to bust through again.
What was the factor that made you decide to breach that wall?
I could not safely put officers in or get hostages out of that bathroom across from where he was without putting their lives in danger. So the best option was to breach an exterior wall.
At 5:15 a.m., law enforcement engages in a shootout with Mateen.
They killed him. I watched him die.
You watched the killer die?
Yeah, I could see him.
Look at that, just shooting back and forth.
The shooting rampage left 50 people dead, including the gunman.
We currently have no evidence that he was directed by a foreign terrorist group, but was radicalized domestically.
Today, authorities answering criticism. They waited too long.
I think there was this misconception that we didn't do anything for 3 hours, and I'm just trying to clarify that's absolutely not true.
This as new details emerge about Mateen's checkered past. An administrator at his high school confirming to ABC News that Mateen was suspended for celebrating the 9/11 terror attacks. One of Mateen's former classmates witnessed his outburst.
When they collapsed, he stood up and was like, almost Osama bin Laden is my uncle. What the blank are you going to do about it?
And just 6 days before the attack, a spending spree. Mateen went to this K Jewelers near his Florida home and spent nearly $9,000 on jewelry. He did not pay cash, and authorities are now investigating that purchase. They're also looking into Mateen's wife of nearly 5 years, 30-year-old Noor Salman, to find out whether she had direct knowledge of her husband's plans.
She could be guilty of something if she knew about his plan, didn't do anything about it. But she could be guilty of a much more serious crime if she actually helped in any way, shape, or form.
Now, one of Salman's former teachers telling ABC News that she had learning difficulties. In an exclusive interview, Susan, who asked us not to use her last name or show her face, says Salman was in all special education classes in middle school.
Nor had difficulty with retention. She had difficulty with conceptualizing, understanding. I just think that she wouldn't have any idea what the consequences of that would be. Or if she did have an idea what the consequences would be, it just really didn't register.
Salman's family confirmed that Susan was indeed Noor's teacher and that Noor does not understand cause and effect. The family telling ABC News Noor is completely innocent and our hearts carry so much sadness for the victims in Orlando.
Something like a learning disability won't get you a not guilty verdict, but it is something that could be presented to a judge if she's convicted and hoping for a more lenient sentence.
It's the Sig Sauer MCX.
As investigators search for answers, the Senate voted late today on 4 proposals restricting gun sales to those on terror and no-fly watch lists, to the mentally ill, and at gun shows. But all 4 failed.
It's so hard to say goodbye.
Tributes continue for the lives lost. Like that heroic mother, Brenda McCool. 150 balloons released in her honor. For Nightline, I'm Lindsay Janis in Orlando.